Welcome back. You are watching the only debate between the incumbent Congressman Taylor and his Republican challenger Stephen Palazzo, live on WKFK TV Channel 7, and you're listening on News Radio 104.9 FM. I'm Kelly Bennett. We have time for just a couple of more questions before we get to the closing statements this evening. Do you feel it is more important, this one goes to Congressman Taylor, to gain influence through partisan allegiance or vote the will of your constituents, even if that may put you out of favor in your own party?
Kelly, that's a phenomenal question, and anyone who has followed my record knows that I have voted the will of my constituents every time. Quite frankly, the problem in Washington is both political parties. The Democrats are wrong on many social issues. The Republicans are dead wrong when they double the national debt, and when the vast majority of them voted for things like NAFTA. A congressman's job is to represent his district. A congressman's job is not to look at whether a Republican or a Democrat has introduced a piece of legislation, but whether or not that is in the best interest of our nation and above all in the best interest of South Mississippi. I have established a record, and I would ask you to go to the National Journal and see this, of being one of the most bipartisan members of Congress, because that is exactly what I do. If a Republican's right, I will vote with him. If a Democrat is wrong, I will vote against him. It's not about party, it's about our nation. I did not swear an oath of allegiance to either party. I swore an oath of allegiance to the United States of America, and I intend to keep that.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the question again. It really is a great question. Thanks to our listener that sent this in. Do you feel it's more important to gain influence through partisan allegiance or vote the will of your constituents, even if that may put you out of favor in your own party?
For 4 years, I've been voting for my constituents' best interests in Jackson. I've got a proven conservative voting record. My allegiance is to the people of the 4th Congressional District if they see fit to send me to Congress to represent them. That's just plain and simple. It's just like swearing an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, both domestic and foreign. Your first allegiance, and you must represent the people that send you there. Now, I do think it is important, though, to be effective, to be a congressman that can help your district when they need you most. You need to not sit on the fence all the time, but you need to build coalitions, build friendships, so when South Mississippi needs you the most, that you're able to help them and be able to provide assistance with them by being able to work through bipartisan solutions. I think it's important to be a leader on the issues. I think it's also important to be a leader on your party. I'm a Republican. It's the conservative party, pro-life, pro-family, pro-business, pro-gun, and pro-military. His party is for abortion on demand. It's pro-choice. It's for gun control, and they support the government takeover of health care, cap and trade, and job-killing legislation and tax increases on small businesses and struggling middle-class families. I'm going to say I'm a proud conservative Republican, but my vote, before I cast it, will always be in the best interests of the South Mississippi.
Congressman Taylor, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Well, again, actions speak louder than words. I appreciate what Stephen has to say. That's why I got the endorsement of the National Right to Life Committee. That's why I got the endorsement of the National Rifle Association. That's why I got the endorsement of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. And yes, based on my many trips to stand beside the troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, I got the endorsement of the veterans of foreign wars. The bottom line is, it's what's best for our nation and what's best for the state of Mississippi, not a political party. And your credibility is everything. And Stephen, when you intentionally lie about my voting record and say I vote with 82% of times with Pelosi,
all
no
right,
one believes
30 seconds. As we agreed to, gentlemen, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. That's what we're sticking to. Obviously, this is a very important election coming up now. If you'd like to watch the debate again, if you missed parts of it, you can do so Saturday at 3 and on Election Day, Tuesday, 10 o'clock, right here on WKFK TV Channel 7. You can also hear it again on News Radio 104.9 FM at 7 Monday morning and 6 Monday night. We have run out of time for this evening, so we don't have any more questions for you, but we did a coin toss earlier this evening to decide who was going to open and who got the first question. That person gets to close out this evening. So right now, each candidate gets 2 minutes to wrap things up, And we're going to start with you, Mr. Palazzo.
All right, well, thank you, Kelly. In 2010, South Mississippi matters. This is a historic election, just not for our nation, but for South Mississippi. Your voice matters. Your vote counts. I recommend that you look at both candidates extremely hard because the future of our country is at stake. The fate of our country rests on the backs of the 4th Congressional District. Our message has been the same from day one. It's what I believe and it's what's in my heart. And it's about putting Mississippi families first and not the corrupt politics of Washington, D.C. I did not change my message just because it was politically convenient as others do. I did not make anything negative. Our message was the truth from day one, and it will be as long as I serve as a public servant. As your congressman, I will work tirelessly to create Mississippi jobs. I'm a CPA and a small business owner. I know less taxes, less regulation, less litigation are good for business. They're good for job creation. And as your congressman, I will defend Mississippi freedoms. As a Marine veteran and still serving in the Mississippi Army National Guard and a VFW Life member, I will keep our promises to our veterans and take care of our men and women in uniform and make sure those who have yet to serve will have the opportunity by standing up and opposing the repeal of the Don't Ask and Don't Tell policy. And as your congressman, I will live Mississippi values every day. God is the center of my life. I believe God is the reason we exist. God's the reason this country exists, and we will not turn a blind eye to Him, or He will turn a blind eye to us. And I'm the only congressman, and I will hold this I'm the only candidate that can promise you this, that I will fire Nancy Pelosi after I'm sworn in January. Thank you, South Mississippi. I'm Stephen Palazzo, and I need your vote on November 2nd.
Thank you, Mr. Palazzo. Congressman Taylor, you have 2 minutes to close.
Let me begin by saying I've already made it public that I will not vote for Nancy Pelosi in this Congress. I've established a reputation for hard work, straight talk, and serving you. My opponent has spent 6 months lying about my record. Almost every one of his commercials says that I voted with Nancy Pelosi 82% of the time. So let's clear the air. I cast 1,466 votes. Of that 1,466 votes, Nancy Pelosi voted like I did 34 times. He's supposed to be a CPA. That's 2%, not 82%. The fact of the matter is some of those votes were to commend the New Orleans Saints, 9/11 first responders, and the House chaplain. Yes, we voted alike one time on a substantive issue, and that's when I voted to save American jobs for American auto workers so that they would have those jobs and we would have that national defense capability. Steve, our nation faces serious problems. Everybody knows that. We've got a horrible deficit. We've got real enemies out there who want to kill Americans. Those problems aren't going to be solved by liars. They're going to be solved by hard work, straight talk, and serving the people of Mississippi. That is what I've done for you for 21 years when I stood shoulder to shoulder with you in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, stood up to the big insurance companies, the same ones that are backing Stephen Palazzo, and told them to be fair with the people of Mississippi. That's when I stood up to the President of the United States and said, if you can't keep the oil from coming to our shores, let me do it. I have enjoyed the privilege of representing South Mississippi, but most of all, I've enjoyed the opportunity to help you. I'm asking for the opportunity to continue to help you. I have stood by you. I'm asking you to stand by me.
Thank you, Congressman Taylor. Thank you both for being here tonight. Of course, we have the Republican challenger, Stephen Palazzo, the incumbent Democrat Congressman Gene Taylor. I did mention earlier that this is an important election. I want to reiterate that every election is important, and you can't complain if you don't vote. So I want to see everybody out there at the polls on Tuesday. Thank you once again to everybody. Thanks to our listeners, our viewers for joining us tonight. Remember, you can watch the debate again. It'll re-air later. I'm Kelly Bennett for WKFK, TV7, and News Radio 104.9 FM.